Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Zymax, and I'm your chief show attendant. On behalf of the two hosts and the rest of the crew, welcome aboard Weird Wednesday Flight number 13, non-stop, from your current location to parts unknown. Our flight will be of about 2 hours, and we'll be flying at the speed of sound. At this time, make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in their full upright position, and that your seatbelt is currently fastened. Enjoy the ride.
What's up?
Hey,
How's it going tonight, Jamie?
it's going.
It's going.
I see Aaron in chat.
How's it going, Aaron? What's up, man?
Was having a crash course in that case that you were showing me, that serial killer.
Yeah. Got a little
Yeah.
video to play a little bit later on that and a little bit to talk about it. And maybe, I guess, we're going to do some voices from beyond a little bit later on. Or who knows? We may do it early on. We got no direction. We're just flying by the seat of our pants tonight.
I got
Maybe we
about
need a little direction.
I got about 45 minutes of reading done on it, but I want to still read some more.
Yeah, doing the video
Fascinating.
for it. I've been researching it like for the last week or two, and there, what got me started on this whole thing. I remember it like when it happened and all, and kind of what got me started on it was I was talking to a friend of mine, Heather, that runs a ghost tour company here in St. Augustine, and she mentioned may have run into this guy, not of the living, this guy.
Dennis, or
Yeah. His name's William Darrell. Oh, man. Lindsay.
oh yeah,
And yeah, she mentioned a case that she was on. She was out on a tour, and I'm going to save that story. I'm going to hopefully have her come on, and I'm sure she can tell you what happened on that. But yeah, she brought up his name, and that got me remembering the whole case. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to research this guy a little bit more, find out about it. And yeah, it definitely was a case. You know, for a little town here, we have all the dead bodies that have shown up over the last few months. And, you know, it's been the last, I mean, every year it happens here. But for a tourist town, you don't really, you know, you hear that little bit of news blurb that happens, you know, when something's found or when somebody gets killed or something. But being a tourist town, it always reminds me of the movie Jaws, you know, when there's this huge ass great white shark out there, you know, and the mayor and everybody of the town, they're like, oh, no, we don't want to scare off all the tourists. So you get that one little blip of news and then it kind of goes quiet after that. And that's kind of what happens here. But nevertheless, it still happens. For a little town, it's quite active in the, I don't know, macabre, weird, demented kind of place.
I'm really interested in hearing what Heather has to say.
Yeah. I mentioned that to you, I don't know, like a week or so ago, and I haven't told you that story yet, but hopefully she'll come on here as a guest soon. She said she was into it, you know, she's just got to get it worked out, time frame and everything, but she's got a lot of good info and a lot of great stories, and
Yeah,
been out with her. It's always been interesting, and she's got some really, really good stories. I shouldn't say stories. Experiences. Exactly, that have happened even just recently. So I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say. But yeah, talking to her, that's what got me started on this serial killer here in St. Augustine.
So even right in your neighborhood where your house is at, some of that took place, correct?
Yeah. I mean, you'll see when I play the video. You haven't seen it yet, but because I literally just got it done like 30 minutes ago, and I'm hoping it plays because I haven't reviewed it yet.
It will.
But okay, I like the way you think, and yeah, I mean, literally, there's a place that I show in the video. It's a little corner store right down the street, literally like 4 blocks from where I live. And that's where this guy had picked up a couple of these girls, and, you know, just a couple blocks over from there, picked up another one on West King Street, which is, you go out my driveway, go to the end of the block, hang a right, and that takes you right down to West King Street. And the places where a few of these girls were found are in another place that's probably within a mile or so of my house. It's a borrow pit, like a coquina pit. And I remember when this was happening, and I used to wakeboard in this pit. And people used to swim in it and all that. And yeah, there's been several bodies that have been found in some of these borrow pits around here. And like I was telling Sam the other day, and I've told a few people this story. I was in there wakeboarding. It was back in the early 90s, and I'd fallen off the board, and I was kind of swimming over towards the bank to get my board. And they're pretty deep, but along the bank, they're fairly shallow, you know, 4 or 5 feet. And I stepped on something, and I swear to this day, it felt like I stepped on a head of a person. I mean, I felt hair on my foot, and
No.
freaky. And it was just I don't know, week or two.
Oh, your toes like went into it.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, I was freaked out, man. I like
Wait,
jumped in
Rob.
the boat, and I was like done for the day.
And how would you know how it feels to step on a human head?
I'm just picturing what it would feel like. And I mean, I didn't know at the time, but that's what it felt like to me. And I don't know, it was a week or two later, a dead body was pulled out of that pit. So
Was it all mushy?
Yeah, it felt
Like mushy in a bone? Like,
no. I mean, it felt like I stepped on somebody's head with a head full of hair. Felt like I
ew.
stepped on a body. It was disturbing.
We got Lake Don Pedro out here where, they throw the bodies off the bridge, and I was looking for a lost pole. We had to bail out one time, fishing every night, and the pole, got taken off in the morning. And then
Yeah.
they're like swimming around and came around some murky water. I don't know what I saw, but I said, the pole got my butt back out in that boat.
Yep. Yeah. There's been some weirdness for sure. Speaking
There you
of,
go. Wakeboarding and like body soup.
yeah, they kind of, when they started pulling bodies out of that pit, everybody was kind of like, yeah, let's go swimming somewhere else. Yeah, it kind of put a dampener on it. But I don't know. Just a few years back, I was paddleboarding in that same pit too.
As long as you don't swallow the water, have any open cuts.
Exactly.
Rody!
What's up? Who all do we got in here right now?
I saw roadies in the house.
Rody, what's up? See Sean's in here, Rody's in here, Lori's in here, Aaron Belkey. Yeah, speaking of ponds and borrow pits and everything else, I was telling you the other day while we're waiting for a few more people to show up. Told you about the man that was partially eaten by an alligator in Polk County. Yeah, it happened back at the end of June, but it just kind of came up in the news around December 11th or so is when this article.
Yeah, I think I'm getting it mixed up into another. I'm trying to remember.
The news article says man found partially eaten by alligator in Polk County, died from a meth overdose. Autopsy shows.
Right.
A man was found partially eaten by an alligator in Polk County. Polk County from me is, I don't know, about an hour and a half, 2 hours away. It's kind of over towards the Orlando area. A man was found partially eaten by an alligator in Polk County. He died due to a methamphetamine overdose and not from the alligator attack itself, according to autopsy results released Wednesday. June 27th of this year, Channel 10 News reported that a company employee at the Mosaic Company in Fort Meade came across an 11-foot alligator in a pond on the property that had a deceased man in its mouth, according to the Polk County Sheriff's Office. The body was identified as 45-year-old Michael Ford II, who was not an employee of Mosaic. Deputies said at the time it was unclear whether the cause of death was an alligator attack or something else. On Wednesday, the medical examiner's office for Polk, Hardy, and Highlands County released its findings. It cited methamphetamine intoxication as the cause of death, and it looks like the alligator seemed to have happened upon Ford after he already died. It's still unclear why Ford was on the property.
That's when you had made the joke about overdosing and then disposing of yourself at the same time.
Yeah. I mean,
Did the alligator get spun, you think?
I don't know. It depends on how much meth
like this-
had in him, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's the case, but if you were planning on offing yourself, you could overdose on drugs by the edge of a pond that alligators are in, and the alligators are then probably going to eat you. And really, except they didn't eat all of them. I think it said they found a leg and an arm inside the
That's so
alligator.
gross.
Yeah.
Like, man, the alligator didn't even want to finish you off.
Yeah, he was like, I already got a leg and an arm, and I got a buzz going. I think I'm gonna slow down.
Yeah. Save the rest for later.
Yeah, I'm vaping. That's
I thought so
weird,
too, Rody.
weird misty thing is going on.
Yeah. If you see a face or something, you screenshot it.
Yeah. Yeah. Screenshot the weirdness. Yeah, your car wash video. I was seeing faces in that.
It's weird you had said that because I saw the wolf face too, and
Really?
I wasn't gonna tag it on there.
Yeah.
There's a couple other little faces I saw. I seen it when it was happening too. That's why I was sitting there like, "Whoa, I need to record this."
Exactly.
And you busted yours out.
Yeah, it's weird. I had a car wash video too. I need to go there tomorrow. Actually, I may do a new one, and I'll duet you.
Yeah. We have to get our windshield wipers. Like, oh, we can't have them on while the machine's in.
Yeah. Yeah, I always flip my windshield wipers once or twice, like between.
I do too. Like, especially when the fan is blowing coming out, I always hit it like before it gets like heavy, just and while it's washing, just to scrub it a little more. Like,
Yeah.
it's funny. Who else does that? Who else flips their windshield wipers on in the middle?
Exactly.
Yes, for sure, Sean.
I remember I went in a car wash with my old car. It was a little truck, and I had the old school antenna on there. Yeah, that was a bad move.
At least you didn't have like the body kit, or just like pretty much duct taped on.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude lost all his stuff.
Ah. Yeah, they're building a new car wash right down the road from me now. I'm kind of actually looking forward to it to opening up. I usually, I wash my car here, but my water's so hard that if I don't dry it like immediately, the car looks worse after I wash it than before I washed it with all the hard water spots and stuff.
Is it like a straight car wash center, like with all the vacuums and all the overhangs and stuff, or is it like a AM PM car wash?
Now, the one I usually go to, it has, you can pull up and vacuum, and they got the floor mat cleaners and all that stuff there. So.
Yeah, it is so awesome. And then the little booths, you can go in there and go mudding and then spray your truck off.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
exactly. Water is one of the best materials. Yeah, we want to do some water.
Water holds memory.
Yep. Yeah, my water's hard.
Lori. It's a "that's what she said" type joke.
Exactly. Yeah, our water here I have city water. And every now and then, I'll turn the water on in the kitchen or something, and it'll be like really funky smelling, like it smells like bleach or something. And usually within a day or so of smelling that, we usually get a water like announcement from the city, like a boil water announcement. Like, I wonder what's in the water now.
It's like you can smell it like coming out of the faucet. Like in the steam of the water, like that don't smell right.
Yeah.
Makes your hair all gross.
Yep.
One of the houses had like this big old canister. It was like a water softener. You put like, I guess it's salt or something in there, and it's supposed to soften. But then the tank went dry. You can feel it on your face all tight.
Yep.
You had well water.
Yeah. It's out at our old house out on the river. We had well water.
Nothing like well water.
Yeah. It would smell funky every now and again, but my door was opening and closing because my dog just Can you hear that?
That
Sounds like a pig.
like a gremlin. It's like,
Yeah.
hmm
My dog came in here to get one of her toys. It's her, like,
oh dear, that was wrong.
excuse me.
It's like, wait, do it again. I can't tell if it's like a goat or a little duck.
Yeah, it's like a grunting little piggly hedgehog thing.
So you hear that like all around the house, like.
Yeah, we put her on a little bit of a slim down, and all of a sudden she has this newfound energy, and she, like, at night gets running around crazy with her hedgehog and is honking something over the house.
That's so cute though. And it's keeping her active, like in turn, keeping her energized. So yeah, she's getting that cardio.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, you're in Denmark, Heidi?
Yeah, is that how you pronounce your name? Hyde? I'm always like Jason.
Oh, I didn't even realize there's not an I on the end. I can't see.
Yeah, I have my glasses here for in case we do some card readings and stuff. Can't see without them anymore. Sucks getting old. Yeah, I was
I
just
before you, except after sleeping. I'm trying to think how that would sound.
I was just out speaking to my
Hide?
dog. Had him out earlier
Hide?
just before dark, and was looking up at the planes that were flying by, and it's kind of chilly here tonight, for Florida. And I was looking up there, and I'm like, are those contrails or chemtrails? Because they were like all over the place.
In like a pattern. I
Yeah.
mean, like in a weird formation.
Yeah, like crisscrossing and stuff.
Was it kind of windy? Or
Yeah,
breezy?
it's real windy today.
So like they're like spreading out.
Yep.
In 2 weeks, see if you start getting a bronchial problem.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know
Remember that. If you all of a sudden you start feeling your lungs start hurting, remember this talk.
Yeah, exactly. What kind of
Oh yeah, Ulrich.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the picture and stuff has changed.
Yeah.
That threw me off. I remember now.
Sean says, what other ITC devices do you use? I've got most. Well, I don't have most. I have all of Keith's apps. And I think I have just about every one of Anthony's apps. Several of Matt Payne's apps. I also have several radios, just standalone radios. I got the Memorex hacked radio. I got a couple of just old school AM FM kind of old school radios with the dial that I just manually go through. I'm hoping to get one of those new paranologies. I can never say that word.
A Pico?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. It looks cool. I've looked at the actual Poltercom, which is quite a bit bigger. They actually have those here in town at a place downtown that sells ghost hunting equipment. Ghost Augustine. You can check them out online. They have all kinds.
I've gotten things from there.
Yeah.
Online.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was from. I wondered.
Yeah, it's right downtown St. Augustine here. They got a pretty good. They got EMF detectors, millimeters, all kinds of ghost
I was
stuff.
gonna say I ordered a couple EMF from them.
Yeah, they got all kinds of stuff down there, and they had a Poltercom in there. I looked at it a while back. Pretty cool looking, pretty good size, and man, it was like $400. So that was a little bit of a deterrent when I had like $12 in my pocket. So that wasn't happening.
When they first came out, I thought they looked gimmicky to me. I became surprised that they were actually, pretty effective. First, I was like, "What is this thing? Like, it's pinhead and the, box, and like, what is this?"
Yeah, they're kind of strange looking for sure, but I do like the idea of kind of the way they work. As it's a motorized little servo in there that just randomly scrolls the changes the channels and stuff.
Yeah, see, I didn't even know. I didn't know it was functionable like that. At first, I thought it was just, for like looks.
Yeah. Yeah, Laura, I've never got a periscope. I've looked at them. I've used them before. Other people that have had them, I've used them on investigations and stuff, and they were pretty cool. The other thing that was really cool that I used, I went over to a friend of mine's house, and he had one of those little music boxes. I forget who makes it, kind of shaped like a coffin, and it's sort of like a REM pod, but instead of lights going off, it plays. It activates like an old school music box.
Oh, no way. Like the ones with the little ballerinas?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sick.
It plays that kind of music. And they're kind of pricey too, but it's a pretty cool. It was a pretty cool device. I at first, looked at it and I was thinking, kind of gimmicky maybe. I don't know. And we set it way over in the corner away from everything. We were doing a session, and he has one of Steve's full-blown portals. I forget which one exactly it is, but it's the decked out one.
Like a wonder box?
Yeah. And we had this little music box over in the corner, and I don't know, 20 minutes into it or so, things start to go off. Lights are flashing. And I kind of look over at it and it stops. And I'm like, A few minutes later, we start asking questions. Go over there and play the music box again. It starts playing again. I'm like, okay. It just surpassed gimmicky. And as they say, got real.
I just noticed the bottom, little ticker at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was a new feature that StreamYard just added. I forgot it was even up. I was making some banners and stuff earlier, and boom. You can change all kind of stuff now. Now that I took it down, don't know how to get it back up. Oh, there it is. Learning on the fly.
Best way to go.
You have one of the music boxes, Aaron? Yeah, there's all kinds of cool stuff out there.
Little para arsenals.
Yeah, I haven't used the actual cultist box, the physical box, but I have the app for it, and I had some videos where I used that. I don't know, it's been a couple of years ago when the app first came out, but I got some pretty cool results with that. And as as weird and as bad a reviews as, oh man, what's the name of that thing even? The Ghost Ark. I have one of those.
Oh shoot. Duh.
Yeah, that thing got horrible reviews. And most everybody that got them, they were like buttons were falling off of them.
Yeah, just because they're cheap put together.
Yeah. I actually got one that works and was completely intact. Came with
Oh, you got
instructions.
lucky, man. I remember that.
Yeah. Came with everything. I still have it. It's sitting out there with all my other Ghost Box stuff right now. And I have a couple videos that I did on it. And I've gotten pretty good results with it. I built a portal for the same friend of mine who I was over at his house when I was talking about the music box thing. I built a portal for him, like right with Steve's, ingredients and everything. And actually it's sitting out there right now too. But
he doesn't have it.
What's that?
You kept the portal?
Well, I built it for this friend of mine, and when he got that new box, he was like, "Hey, take this one and use it," because I had just sold my portal. I was like, kind of desperate need for money, and I had just sold mine. And I mentioned that, and he's like, "Hey, here, take this one." So I've had that one. It was a weird circumstance that I sold mine like the day before, and then he gave me his the day after. But yeah, I when I built that for him originally, something happened. One of the wires or something, I forget what it was, but he sent it back to me. I told him, "Hey, send it over here. I'll fix it for you. I'll get it back to you." And it was something easy that something had just came undone or whatever. And I fixed it all back up. And I'm like, I might as well test it. And I tested it with the Ghost Ark. And be damn if the thing doesn't say, yeah, I said, whose portal is this? And it said his name. So as bad of a review as that device got, I've used it in the graveyard a few times. I've used it on investigations and just testing it out. I've got a few videos on it, and it's always worked for me. I've always been nervous every time I use it, thinking, "Oh, this is the time it's going to fall apart." But I don't know. I've had it for a couple of years now, still rolling good. Takes forever to charge it up, but once you get it charged, it lasts quite a long time.
Oh, cool. Robert's team just got an SLS camera.
Oh, nice.
That's something that Jeff and I were going to build. We were always looking for the right, what was it, Xbox or PlayStation, whatever.
Yeah.
That you could turn into one. Never did.
Yeah, I've been wanting to build one for a while. Like when I went, I don't know, a couple months back when I went to the old Clay County jail, it was Sam and myself and two friends that lived down in Daytona, and we had the whole jail to ourselves that night for the most part. And the girl that was there, she had one that she had put together and stuff, and she said she's gotten some really good results with it as well. She didn't have it that night at the jail, but she was telling me about it. Yeah, speaking of ghostly stuff and all that, the lighthouse here in St. Augustine, like one of my favorite local haunts. And I went to the lighthouse the last time that Grant Wilson from Ghost Hunters was here in town, and went to that event and got some videos of that. I actually got to go in the lighthouse for the most part completely by myself in the dark. Got a weird scream in there inside the lighthouse that I have on video. And but it was a pretty cool event, and Grant was really cool. Sat outside there and talked to him for, I don't know, good 45 minutes or so after the event and everything. And really cool. My cousin actually had bought me a ticket for that event because she wanted to go, and she wanted me to go with her, and I was like, oh, you know, tickets are a little pricey, blah blah blah. And she's like, oh, I got you covered, which was like way overboard. But anyway, she bought me the ticket, so I went, and it was a fun time. So they're having another event here at the lighthouse, and Grant's not going to be there, but two of the people that are on the new Ghost Hunter show are going to be there. And I was on the event page the other day, and it's gotten some quite the mixed emotions from people, because the ticket prices, like for the full experience, are like $275, which is a little pricey, you know, I gotta say. I won't be going at that price.
Nick Groff's VIP passes weren't even
For, you know, rental of the lighthouse, we got to pay for flights, we got to pay for this hotel room and board. I know all that's, you know, an event. I've run several events of all different kind, and I know they're expensive, but I've never had an event where I charged people almost $300. You got to find other ways, sponsors and stuff, to help absorb some of that event cost and make it a little more reasonable for the average, you know, ghost hunter. Because some of the comments on there were, people were kind of pissed.
No.
But, you know, it is what it is. For me, you know, there's a couple of people that were like, oh, you know, it's not that bad, it's not that expensive, blah blah blah. For me, I live here.
For the lighthouse?
Yeah, I mean, it's an awesome place. It's like one of my favorite places to go to. But being that it's only like 3 miles from my house and I can go there anytime I want, better have some damn good time if I'm going to spend almost $300 to go.
Yeah. I mean, there's not like a lot to it. It's like, you know, you go there and you do your sessions and all that. It's not like you're at this big ass museum or something.
Yeah. Well, there is a museum there, and there's the
there?
lightkeeper's house, which is really cool. The lighthouse itself, and then just the grounds itself are really cool.
Oh, so it's like property.
Yeah, it's the whole property there, and it's a pretty good.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a pretty good sized chunk of property and everything, and like
I
when
thought
I
they were
went,
gonna go kick it around the lighthouse.
yeah, when I went to the event that Grant was at, I mean, you know, it's Grant Wilson. Everybody likes to hang out with Grant. He's a cool dude, and so it, you know, I had a great time there. But I also didn't pay for my ticket. Thankfully, I have a really cool cousin that wanted me to go, so I owe
That's
her.
awesome.
But yeah, just about every time, like I said, I don't know, the last show or so, maybe 2 shows ago, I went there just before Halloween, day or 2 before Halloween. And I think, in all honesty, that's the first time I've been there, like hundreds of times. And I think that last time I went there was the quietest I have ever witnessed the lighthouse being as far as activity. It just was weird, quiet. I did have a few weird things happen though. I was running the Spiritus like I usually always do, and all of a sudden music, like the Spiritus stopped and music started playing, like a radio would, like I thought, my iTunes or something likes to take over my phone every once in a while. And I'm like, what the hell, and I like went through my phone, closed all the windows, closed everything, and the music was still playing. I unplugged my phone from everything, turned it off, and the music was still playing. And I couldn't figure out where it was coming from.
That's crazy. That's cool.
And I'm like, just completely bad. It sounded like the radio was playing, like it was playing a, rock station or whatever. I don't know. I can't remember what it was like the Foo Fighters or something. I don't know. But
Were you recording it?
I think I may have been.
Like when you played it back, could you hear like the music?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was.
What did it sound like it was coming from on that? Like from the recording, what did it sound like?
It was coming out of my portal speaker. Like, yeah. I mean, it was like there was a radio hooked up to my portal and I had it unplugged. I couldn't figure it out. And I'm just like sitting there baffled, and then it just stopped. And I'm like, okay. I plug it back in, turn everything back on, turn the Spiritus on, and it was back to normal. Where all that music was coming from, I got no clue. But that was the only weird thing that happened that night. And it played for, I don't know, probably 2 minutes or more. So
that's pretty crazy. If that's all you got that night, I'd be satisfied.
Yeah. I was like, like after the thought, I was like, that was kind of cool. But during it, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Where's this music coming from? It was like pissing me off.
Where the hell's the music?
And I'm like trying to run a ghost box, and I'm like, and getting the Foo Fighters. What radio do you have coming, Sean? I think next week, while I'm doing this video, in case anybody missed it, I got a video coming up about a serial killer that is right from here in my little hometown, sleepy little Oceanside, St. Augustine, Florida. And there's actually a book that I just got today. I found this book used. So if anybody wants to, after they see the video, if they want to research it more, there's not a ton of information out there about it. Like I was saying earlier, it's a tourist town, and I think anything like this happens and it kind of tends to get hushed, kind of swept under the rug, because, it's not good for tourists if they know there's a serial killer running loose on the streets, huh? But this book, it's called Deadly Lust. It's a paperback. I couldn't find it new. I bought this used, and I don't know, I got it for like $3 or something. I don't even know if it's still in publication or not, but there's a ton of used ones on Amazon and eBay and all that. I don't know where this one came from, a bookstore, used in very good condition, and it actually is in pretty decent condition. It's been read, obviously, but it's the reviews on it are some good, some bad. It's very, very, very detailed, but it has lots of pictures in it of the victims, and right there is
Oh wow.
the guy that did it. But yeah, it's got pictures in it. A lot of the victims, a lot of the places.
William Darrell.
William Darrell Lindsay.
Lindsay, yeah.
And I was gonna say, I have, there was another story. I have a video on my channel, and there's a couple books out about it. It happened back in 1974, and it happened to be the same last name, Athelia Ponzel Lindsay. She got killed on her front steps. Now, like, the ghost tours go by and they stop at the murder house. That's what it's commonly called here.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, she got hacked up with a machete on her front porch just before sundown. And still to this day, they don't know who done it. A lot of weirdness around that case, but I may do another new updated video on that for next week, maybe.
When was that one?
It was back in 1974.
Oh, so that's way before all, like, this dude did his stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, completely different circumstances. And yeah, I was 10 years old back then, and I remember all hell breaking loose in town. And like I said, it was like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, just before kind of sundown, but still plenty of daylight. And I remember me and one of my best friends, we rode our bikes down there, and we're sitting out in front of the house, kind of watching everything go down. And even at 10 years old, I was watching this whole crime scene, like, unfold. And even at 10 years old, being a kid, not, didn't know my ass from a hole in the ground, I'm thinking, that doesn't seem right. Why are they, like, hosing all the blood down with a hose, a garden hose? I don't know. There's definitely some fishery going on with that case. And if anybody has never seen my video, I can't remember which number episode it was, but I have my own personal story in there that nobody else that's ever reported about this case knows. They've never talked about it because I was there. I was in the guy's house when it happened.
Are you serious, Rob?
Yeah.
And the blood down the street, like, into the storm drains? They just hose blood into the storm drains?
Well, they were just hosing it off into the grass. But when I was in this guy's house, it was several years after this. And yeah, I'll have to pull that video up. I had a guy, a Flagler College student here in town, just contact me just a few weeks back, and he's doing a new documentary on this whole case because it's still an unsolved case.
Oh, that's the one.
And yeah, he wants to use something out of my video.
Yeah.
So I'm
that's awesome.
Be interesting to see which part they use out of my YouTube video.
I forgot about that. That's
the
so
part
cool.
where I went in his house. A friend of mine, we were going surfing, and he was kind of new to town, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to stop by my house and get some water and something to eat on the way to the other beach." And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, when we got there, he was like, "Yeah, my roommate's a little weird, so just kind of be quiet, when we go in." And I was like, "Oh, who's your roommate?" And he's like, he's this old guy. He used to be the mayor or something of the town. His name's Mr. Lindsley. And I'm like, whoa, seriously? He had no clue about this. And once I got to the front steps, well, I'll just say this. When we got to the front steps of his house, this guy's wife had been killed on her front steps on the house on Marine Street. It was a different house. But I get to the front steps of this guy's house, and what's the first thing I see on the front steps leaning up by the door is a freaking machete.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And I just thought right then, this is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I went inside the house, weird got kicked up like a whole nother 10 or 15 levels. Yeah.
Oh.
It got real weird inside the house. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that for right now. But if anybody hadn't seen that video, go dig back through my Weird Wednesday videos. And
We're leaving it at that for right now. For you better tell me the rest of that later, because
yeah, it was pretty bizarre. I'll tell you another level of it, and it goes way past that. But when I got inside, walked into the living room, and where like the little fireplace mantle or whatever was, above that on the wall is what do I see? A whole buttload of machetes, swords, and blades, like a whole collection. Took up the whole wall. And am I just weird, or is it weird that somebody's wife that got killed basically got her head severed on her front steps with a machete, hacked to pieces? Isn't it a little odd that her husband would have machetes and stuff all over the house? I mean, call me crazy, but I thought that was a little weird. And it goes up a couple more levels on something that's just totally doesn't have anything to do with machetes after that.
what?
Should I tell everybody now?
What were you saving it for something else?
No, not really.
Then tell.
Okay. Since we're talking about it, not making this up. Why did I go in? Lori wants to know, why did I even go in?
Because he's robbed.
Because, yeah. And my friend that lived there, he was renting a room from this guy. He had
Did
no
I see
clue.
a light behind you?
Did you?
I don't know. Put your hand back up again. I don't know. I thought I seen something go by you. But go ahead.
Yeah, my friend that was living there, he was just renting a room from this guy. And like I say, he wasn't from here. He had just kind of moved into the area. Real cool guy. But yeah, he was just renting a room. He didn't have a clue. He just said, hey, my roommate, he's an old guy. He's a little weird. So, kind of be quiet when we go in. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Who's your roommate? And he told me. And I was like, bring, red flag went off. And I'm thinking, nah, it can't be the same guy. And then I walked up, saw the machete on the front porch. And I'm like, oh, hell no. He's like, yeah, he used to be the mayor or something, whatever. And I'm like, oh, it's the same guy. I'm thinking in my head, it's the same guy. It's the same guy. It's the same guy. So, yeah, why did I go in? Because I'm weird, because I was curious. And, hey, why not? Dean was there with me. My friend was with me. It's like, hey, 2 against 1 in case he came at us with a machete. There was at least
Dean
2.
from chat here?
No.
Oh.
That was my friend's name, was Dean. And, yeah, so we went in, and then I saw all the machetes and all the blades and swords and knives, this whole big wall full of this stuff. Okay, so that was the next level of weirdness. And then I hear, "Hey boys, what's up?"
No, no.
And I look over on the couch, and there's Mr. Lindsley sitting on the couch. And, and yeah, this is the weird part. I'm looking, and he's like got all this material, scraps of material and everything, all kind of around him. I mean, the couch is just piled up with all these scraps of material and stuff. And he's
Like you just walked
Hey.
in on him doing that. Like that's what he was doing as you walked in.
"Yep." He was sitting on the couch, and he was working on something. And he's like, "Hey, check out my new invention." And he throws it to me.
Oh no.
And I'm like, "Ooh, okay." And I catch it, and I'm like, "Okay, it's a women's bra."
Oh shit.
And I'm looking at it, and he's like, "What do you think?" And I'm looking at it, and inside the cups of the bra is like rabbit fur. It's lined with fur. I swear to God, I'm not making this up.
I
lined
believe you.
with
Who
fur.
could make this up?
And then I'm like, I'm looking at it, and I'm looking out of the corner of my eye back at him, and then I realize the whole picture. There's all these scraps of material and these scraps of fur, and the scraps of material, what I thought was material, was actually a huge pile of bras and panties. And he was aligning the bras and the panties with fur.
And that was his invention? Is the not the bra itself, but the fur lining
Fur
in
lining
the bra
in the bra
was his invention.
and the crotch and the panties.
He thought women wanted to feel the fur against their skin.
I was like, my brain's going 100 miles an hour. I'm like, and he's like, "We're in North Florida. It gets cold. Women want to keep their boobies warm, don't they?" I was like, "Oh, yeah." Like threw it back to him.
Where did he get the fur?
Yeah. Where'd he get all the bras and panties and
Yeah.
stuff?
Well, I already have thought about that and figured, oh dear.
Yeah. And so I was looking at my friend Dean, and I'm like, "Okay, man, I'm ready to go now." I'm ready to.
The machete didn't do it. It was the
exactly.
fur-lined panties.
Yeah. I was like, man, it's just I don't want to witness the next level of weirdness here. I'm ready to go. I'm gonna go wait out by the car. And
Hey boys, he said.
He got in the car, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I told you." He was a little weird. He was kind of real easygoing dude. I'm like, "Dude, you have no idea the story that goes along with this guy." And then I told him the whole story about, how his wife got killed with a machete. And I was like, just like the one that's on the front steps of your house. Just like the one that's hanging over the fireplace. It could have been one of those.
Oh my God.
And it's unsolved. You might be living with a murderer, man. Yeah, it wasn't too long after that my friend Dean was like, "Yeah, I got to move."
And he stayed there after.
Yeah, he didn't stay there very long after that.
How long did he stay?
Maybe another week or two. Then it pretty much after that day, he was looking for a new place to live.
What do you mean fur is normal in the S&M community is relief? Like when they spank each other, they get rewarded with fur? Or they soothe each other with fur? I've seen like I don't know how the fur causes relief. Wow, Rob, that is insane. So you have a connection to this session that we're going to be doing.
Well, yeah. I mean, this isn't the serial killer guy. This is the one I was going to do next week, but
Okay.
there's a little background on on that. Like I say, I have a video about
Okay, I got a little bit mixed up there. I got you.
it. Yeah. Lori's like, a little weird with a bunch of question marks. Okay, Lori, it was a lot weird. You know, it's
When your
weird.
homie said, I told you he's a little weird, I was say, if that's a little weird, I want to know what you think is weird, bro. Like, what do you think is weird if that's a little weird?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, he had no clue of the whole background of what, had happened and stuff. So, yeah. It's kind of strange. It's a weird situation when I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go.
When you're ready to go, yeah. When you said you're gonna go, I'm like, damn, something's off. If Rob's like, I'm out.
Yeah, I didn't want to see the next level. I'm like, it's gonna be like Buffalo Bill, where he comes out with a suit made of skin or something,
in a kilt made of fur, and like
Yeah.
a spear with like something stuck to the end of it.
Yeah.
Hey, boys.
Next thing I know, me and my friend end up in a freaking well with a poodle, and fucking, he's up there, lowering a bucket
Puts
down.
the lotion on the skin
Skin, exactly.
before he gets the hose again.
Yeah. Speaking of that Mr. Lindsley, he's buried right down the road in the cemetery, right down the road from my house here.
Wow.
Yep. And Miss Lindsley, she's married. She's married. She's buried at a separate cemetery up in Jacksonville.
Good. I'm glad you're not there with him.
Yeah.
That would be horrible.
But I still don't know, and nobody knows who done it, who did it, because the neighbor that lived next door, his name was James Stanford. He's a very capable suspect as well.
Ooh, and this is the one that we're going to do next week?
Sure. Might as well, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Wait, I need 30 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, so for a little sleepy town, there's a lot of weirdness that goes on here in St. Augustine. That's and you can look that up, that story up. The lady's name was, oh man, Athelia Ponzel Lindsley, and there's a couple of documentaries that are online. One of the crime shows, I forget which one it is, did a whole episode on that story, and it's online to watch. You can find it on YouTube. Let me see if I can find the link real quick to it. It's definitely an interesting story. There's a couple of books written about it too. Yeah. Let me see if this is the right one. Yep, this is it. Whoop, don't mean to play it. There is a link to that episode. It's City Confidential is the name of the show, and it's a little corny. Starts out a little corny at first. Talks a lot about St. Augustine, but that's the story on that murder here in town. And it's kind of cool. I don't know, it's 30, 45 minutes, something like that. Yeah, I have that weird sense of humor too. I laugh when I'm nervous. Remember, Darcy always gives me a hard time, like when we went to see the first Jurassic Park, I just busted out laughing when the dude. Remember when the scene where the dude got ate off the toilet?
Yeah.
Pretty graphic, thing. He's like hiding in the outhouse, sitting on the toilet, and the dinosaur breaks in and just rips him apart right off the toilet. Everybody was screaming in the movie theater. I was dying laughing. I think I was the only one in the whole theater that was laughing during that part.
I just know, like, not to. Like, I'll be quiet, and it's like a thing in my head where I know, like, this is not a funny moment, and everybody needs to be quiet. And then I'll look at everybody being quiet, and I'll just start to. And then once I start, or I'll look at, like, my mom or my sister or somebody, like, making, like, a face. I'm like, don't make that face. And then I can see all the seriousness, and I can't hold it. And the more I know I gotta shut up, the harder I start laughing. Gotta go take myself outside.
Yep. Yeah, if that link doesn't work, you can look it up on YouTube with that information. That's the name of the show, and season 3, episode 5, an original A&E broadcast. Yeah, exactly. I got a snake, man.
Man.
What time is it getting to be? It's 1:07. I guess I could play the video about the first guy that I was talking about here. Buffoon. Yeah, it's Adam Sandler. He does the skit about the buffoon. If you've never seen it, it's worth a listen. This one time. Okay. Here is the video. Like I say, I just put this together and finished it right before the show. So hopefully it plays all the way through. Greetings from St. Augustine, Florida, my hometown. St. Augustine is located in the southern United States along the northeast coastline of Florida. It's known as the nation's oldest city. It is the oldest continually occupied city in the United States. For the most part, it's a tourist town. It's also known as a college town. With its many tourist attractions, it's also known in the paranormal world as a very haunted town. St. Augustine has a lot to offer. I was born and raised here in St. Augustine, and I've seen a lot of the good side of it and quite a bit of the bad. This story, unfortunately, is about some of the darker side of the town that's not very well known to most people. It was during the Christmas season of 1996 when the entire downtown was lit up with little white lights. The Nights of Lights were in full effect, including the boats anchored in the bay. The town was crowded with tourists and locals all taking in the holiday atmosphere. Nothing would suggest that a serial killer who had eluded capture for nearly a decade was about to be exposed. The residents of this little town didn't expect one of their own, a man who had grown up here, he would be revealed as the killer. It was then revealed that William Darrell Lindsay, also known as Crazy Bill or Redbird, was in fact the serial killer from right here. William Darrell Lindsay was born on March 18, 1935. When Lindsay was just 5 months old, his biological parents were killed in a car accident. He was then adopted by the Lindsay family and was the youngest of 4 children in the adopted family. Over the years, he would have his run-in with different problems. And over the years, he was married twice, divorced from his first wife, and his second wife died from cancer. Lindsay began his known murder spree in 1988 at the age of 53 and continued until his arrest in 1996. All the victims were female between the ages of 20 and 50 years old. The victims were usually known as prostitutes who had addictions to numerous drugs. Nearly all of Lindsay's victims were raped and then beaten to death. The women were either Caucasian or African American. Some of the victims were put in the water, and a couple were posed and left in a place they would be found. In 1996, Lindsay was arrested for the murder of Lucy Raymer in North Carolina. After his arrest, Lindsay confessed to 6 other murders. In July of 1999, Lindsay agreed to a plea bargain to avoid the death penalty. He was then sentenced to 30 years in prison at the Marion Correctional Institute in Florida. As far as his victims that he confessed to killing, they are as follows. And a note to mention here, most of these victims and where they were found were within a mile or two from my current location where I live and went to school and hung out as a kid. The first victim was Lisa Fowley, who was murdered October 9th, 1983. She vanished after a long night of drinking at the Tradewinds Lounge. 5 days after she disappeared, Lisa's body was discovered in a marshy area off the west end of Pope Road in St. Augustine Beach. It would be January of 1997 before St. Johns County detectives learned that Lindsay was the killer. And then it went from there. The second victim was Anita McQuaig Stevens, who got into Lindsay's car at the corner of Riberia and King Street in downtown St. Augustine, somewhere around 7 p.m. on November 29, 1988. A county worker discovered her mutilated body floating in a borrow pit near St. Augustine Beach the following morning. She had been beaten so badly that her eye socket was crushed and her jaw was fractured in 2 places. Her nude body had cigarette burns and bite marks in several spots. The third victim was Connie Terrell, who was picked up by Lindsay as she walked along West King Street about 8:30 p.m. Sunday night, June 10, 1989. Her nude body was discovered by a fisherman barely 12 hours later as it lay half submerged in a borrow pond off Holmes Boulevard. She had been strangled with a rope and then shot in the head once with a .22 caliber. In the same April 1997 statement that Lindsay made admitting McQuaig's murder, he gave police a detailed account of Connie's killing. The fourth victim was Lashana Streeter. She was at what was known at the time as Crackhead Corner, looking for a date on the afternoon of March 1st, 1992. When Lindsay pulled into the parking lot about 4:15 p.m., when she left with him, it would be the last time she would have been seen alive. Within an hour, she was beaten and kicked to death for allegedly trying to rob Lindsay. Her body was found 10 days later by a local man as he was taking a shortcut from 207 to Old Moultrie Road across what locals called Quinney's Land, lying just off a dirt road on Old Dairy Farm Road. She had been partially undressed and hidden under some broken branches and other debris. Victim number 5 was Cheryl Lewis, who flagged Lindsay down around 2 a.m. at the corner of Palmer and King Street on a rainy summer night, June of 1995. They had gone less than a block before she grabbed some money from the dash and bailed out of the vehicle. She ran down the railroad tracks towards Crackhead Corner, but Lindsay was able to catch up with her and crushed her skull with a pry bar. Her body was found several days later by boaters at the Moultrie Creek boat ramp. For victims 6 and 7, Lindsay pled guilty to the murders of Denitha Sneed and Diana Richardson. Even though their bodies have never been found, Denitha went missing in April of 1993 after spending the day with Lindsay at his trailer on Masters Farm. On the drive back to King Street, she revealed that she was HIV positive. In his handwritten statement, he said, "I started planning to kill her. When we got to the end of the paved road, I just stopped the truck and started beating her. I hit her with my fist about 6 or 7 times and she went out, completely unconscious. I went to the woods about 30 feet along the bank and threw her in the creek." Diana disappeared in October of 1995 when she agreed to Lindsay's offer for money for sex. Lindsay later stated that he had taken her to the same borrow pit where he had killed Connie Terrell. During sex, Diana somehow angered Lindsay and he hit her in the back of the head hard enough to knock her unconscious with a single blow. Dragging her from the car, he dumped her body in the borrow pit where it floated out a short distance and then sank. The last known victim he confessed to was Lucy Arnett Raymer. Lucy was murdered in December of 1996 in Asheville, North Carolina, where Lindsay had been living. Her body was found dumped near a duck pond. This was the one that got him arrested and led to the information about all the others. These are just a few of the victims that he admitted to killing. It is said that he may have killed up to 20 or more women altogether in Florida, North Carolina, and Virginia. Once his arrest and trial became news, reports began to surface all over Northeast Florida of encounters, close calls other women had experienced with Lindsay. Some were prostitutes, some were female convicts, some were just party girls. But violence and unpredictable brutality and murder had become routine to Lindsay. Yet, ironically, it was his mediocrity that kept him invisible for so long. In July of 1999, William Darrell Lindsay plea bargained his way out of a death sentence and was given 30 years. He was due to be released on December 11th of 2025 at the age of 90. Instead, he died in prison April 17th, 2001. At 71 years old, his words to detective handling his case still ring chillingly true. He said, quote, "You've got to understand, there's a good Bill and a bad Bill. Good Bill is a decent person. Bad Bill is a person society needs to be afraid of." So yeah, that was just the little bit of the murder spree that he went on here in St. Augustine. And who knows, like I said in the video, there's possibilities of him killing at least up to, I don't know, 20 people or so altogether, 20 different women altogether.
Yeah, I want to like alter a couple of the questions I have now because I didn't realize he actually did admit to throwing them in that pond or that
Yeah.
area they said they've been searching. And I'm curious now how many he actually did kill.
Yeah.
So
He was,
some questions
you know,
for after.
he I think he was born in Palatka, which is like, I don't know, 15 to 30 minutes from here. He went to school here, one of the same schools I went to. He lived here quite a good portion of his life, and was committing these crimes, murders, whatever you want to call them, in the mid 80s to early 90s. And then he moved up to North Carolina. Wonder why, It's like, how many people in one town do you have to kill before you think, well, maybe I ought to move? So, if he was killing people here, I'm sure he didn't move and just go, oh, I'm going to start over. I'm not going to kill anymore. Well, he killed a girl in North Carolina. So that's the one that he got actually caught on. And due to the detective work and everything from the St. Johns County Sheriff's Department here, contacting, somehow there was a Christmas card involved that got sent to the sheriff, and there was a mention of him in that. And our sheriff here at the time, his name was Neil Perry, he was like, whoa, that's kind of relates to an open case that we still have here. And they just started putting two and two together and kind of figured it out. And then they went and arrested him for the murder in North Carolina. And once he was caught, he was like, oh yeah, I killed more people in St. Augustine, and just started blabbing about, 6 or 7 more girls that he had killed here.
Oh
So
my
who
God.
knows, who knows how many people this guy ended up killing. But talking to Jason, with Paranormal Soup, he's fascinated with serial killers too. And it's kind of weird, but so am I.
And so am I. I go
yeah.
to sleep with the ID channel on every night.
Yeah. The
That or
ID
South
channel
Park.
plays here quite a bit.
That's
Which
my
are
all the time
and-
background music, and I probably watched, on all like the main serial killers, 15, 16 different story, by different networks or, you know, shows doing their take on it on the
Yeah,
same people. My sister actually is the same way too.
really.
hmm I found out she doesn't watch much TV except for football. She's diehard football, that and the ID channel. She
Yeah.
too wanted to work in forensics.
Yeah. Upon doing all this research on this guy, like I say, I remember when all of this happened and when it was all in the news and when he was caught, and I mean, it was a thing. It was in the news, and everybody all around the nation picked it up. But there's not a ton of information out there about it. Like I say, this book is the only book that I know that's written about this, and it's if anybody wants to read it, you can get it used on Amazon for like $3 to $7. So it's not a big spend. It's I haven't started reading it. Like I said, I just got it today, but it's a pretty tedious read. It's really, it gets reviews. Some people loved it, some people hated it. It's a lot of detail, a lot of detail.
I like a lot of detail
Yeah,
when it comes to things like that.
but upon all this serial killer research I've been doing, and here in my own town, I come across all these other ones. And you ever heard of Albert Fish?
I don't think so.
Yeah, this guy, man, he was a real piece of work. Um, it was from way, way, way back in the day. He was born in 1870 and died in 1936.
Oh
So yeah,
wow.
there were serial killers back then too. But yeah, he would kill people, say people, kill little kids and eat them. Yeah. Look up Albert Fish if anybody likes serial killers, and read that story, man. It'll turn your stomach. And not only that, one of the girls that he killed, he may have only killed a couple of girls, but just reading about it, he says he was an American serial killer, child rapist, and cannibal. He was also known as the Gray Man, the Werewolf of Wisteria, the Brooklyn Vampire, the Moon Maniac, and the Boogeyman. And he actually
My
wrote a
God.
letter. One of the little girls that he killed, he wrote a letter to her parents describing how he ate their daughter.
Oh my God.
A whole nother, kick in the nads to that story. It's like, oh, we got a letter.
That's
The guy.
twisted.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, there's a bunch of crazies out there. But yeah, I guess we're gonna do a little voices from beyond, and out of those 7 people that were killed here, like I say in the video, there was 2 of them that were never found, and he actually wasn't charged for killing those 2 because they never found the body, even though he admitted to killing them and told authorities where he dumped the body at. He was still never charged for them because they never found the body.
Fortunately, that's the way it is a lot. No body, no crime.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
I was thinking that because it's pretty much, the same thing for both people, just trying to find out where they're at. I figured I'd first just ask questions for one person, then ask the same ones for the next person.
Yeah.
So instead of doing like 20 questions, I'm just going to do 10 for each of them since it's, pretty straight. Like, where are they? He already said where he put them, and I believe he probably told them, if there's alligators that could have got to them or other animals could have drug them off.
Yeah, there's, like I say, I used to swim and wakeboard in one or two of those borrow pits, and there's definitely alligators in them. I mean, I live in Florida. There's alligators and snakes in all the water here. So
So it's actually big enough to water ski in like the body of water, though.
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, it's not like you're doing a huge long run, but you would go in a big oval in this borrow pit, and it was big enough. Yeah, it's pretty good size, and it's like in the middle of it. It's probably 25, 30 feet deep.
Right. Okay, so if any spirits want to help us, any guides, tell us where Donthea and Diana are, the women we were just talking about. You can hear that okay?
Yeah. You guys in the chat room here, okay?
I have Spiritus on. Do any of you, or can you find out where's Donthea's body? How do you say her name? Donthea?
Danitha.
Danitha? Do you know where Danitha's body is at? Have search teams been close to her? What is a noticeable landmark by her remains? Is there something by her train that if you saw it, you would know she was there? I was going to ask how she was disposed. He admitted to dumping her, but how was she disposed of? The woman. Did he throw her into the water? Was her body intact when she was disposed?
Yeah, and right before that, I heard something about searching.
Really? Was her body in one piece? Is she in a pond? Or what do you call it, Rob? A burrow?
Borrow pit.
Burrow pit?
It's a coquina pit, basically.
Is she in the place that he said he put her? Where did she go? What happened to her body once it got in the water? Does anyone else know where she's at? Is there anything we should know that will help find her? I was going to ask if she's dead or alive. Is there anything you can tell us that would help searchers? What is around her body? Is it a feet? What's around her body? Where is Danitha's body?
Still.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the same questions about the other woman, Diana. He said he did the same thing, disposed her in some water. If you can help find information on this for us, that would be helpful. Where is Diana's body? Have search teams been close? What is a noticeable landmark by her remains? Mud. Say mud.
Yeah.
Is there mud around her? Is there something by Diana that searchers could look for to help find her? Like something out of place? How was she disposed? Was she disposed the way he said? Was her body intact when it was disposed? Was she in one piece? Is she in a pond or a body of water? Does anybody else know where she's at? Is there anything that we should know that'll help searchers to find her? What will help searchers find her? Train again. Or something, I don't know. What is around her body? What is around Diana's body? Where is Diana's body? How many people did he actually kill? Do you know how many people he actually killed? Okay, for the guides and spirits that were helping, thank you. I'm going to turn mine off, and then Rob is going to ask the same questions from his side. In 3, 2, 1. Thank you. You'll probably have a stronger connection since you're right there.
Almost sound like it said Dennis right at the end, like somebody yelled the name Dennis. Or something else. I couldn't really tell.
You know what? I think maybe it did, but I didn't catch it. Like, I didn't put 2 and 2 together, but yeah, I was like, it is.
Aaron says, remember this. Could have been that.
Oh, yeah.
No miss.
I'll have to listen. But your energy and your connection is going to be better. Oh, Debbie heard water. I heard hunger also. Who said that? Oh. City light. Did you notice them say something about lights twice, Debbie, when I asked about both of them? What was around them? It seemed like they said something about something light.
Yeah, it did seem like that. Okay, I'm going to ask pretty much some of the same questions. Run the spiritist as well. Yeah, you heard Dennis, that kind of yell at the end. Yeah, city lights. I heard that several times. How's it going, John? Okay. Oh, man. I just screwed up my questions. Let me do that. There they are. I got like a dozen windows open here.
They all.
All right, I'm going to ask some of the same questions, and I may alter a few of them as well. Again, for anybody that just joined, there was a serial killer here in the St. Augustine in the mid 80s, early 90s. Admitted to killing at least 7 girls here. 2 of them their bodies have never been found. That's what we're doing voices on from beyond on right now.
Parnell.
Parnell. I don't know what that said. The first girl that I'm going to be asking questions about is Denitha Sneed. She was one of the ones that has never been found.
Come on.
So, spirits, going to ask you you can tell us where Denitha's body is.
3. Oh. Nature.
Prop.
There's a really weird whisper in there. I didn't make it out all the way.
Heard
Something about the bottom,
I heard that at the bottom.
at the bottom or something.
Mm-hmm.
4. 5.
Waste.
The search teams that we're looking for at the time, were they close to finding her?
Restlessness that
Two. Prop. Both.
What's a is there a noticeable landmark near Denitha's remains?
So you're irritating. Just because I'm right.
There's not a town or community called Clinton here that I'm aware of. Could be a street,
You can move to the water. Intercept it.
could be Hillary. I don't know.
I heard something about to the water.
Yeah. Is Denitha in the Barrow pit
When your aura.
that Crazy Bill said he threw her in?
Exactly.
The reason. Which even I'm just gonna pretty much none.
A lot of people heard Darnell. His name is Darrow.
Yeah.
So,
But not enough. No, not sad.
Does anyone else know where Denitha is? Where her body is?
Extremely hard.
here is. As
Not completely.
So that I can be left.
you.
Is there anything that we should know that would help find Denitha's remains?
Just you.
Rick.
Work.
And went.
What is around Denitha's remains?
Nature.
You.
Fun.
Nature.
Let me tell you.
Please do.
We
Wander.
death of a
Earliest
What?
necessary.
death.
Hands.
Hugo.
I can use the practice.
Living.
Show them.
Yep.
Protect and straight.
How many people
Thank you.
did William Lindsay kill?
Extremely hard.
Can you give us a number?
Way. Yeah. Shit.
Problems.
Scissors are so
Sorry?
short. Scissors.
There is.
That voice always freaks me out.
Good.
Your needs are met.
I've heard Elisa's name a couple of times now.
Osh.
Help.
So,
No.
Is there a train that goes around or close by any of
Um,
those spots?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there's train tracks. Yeah, within a mile of where I live right here.
Help.
Till.
Okay, I'm going to ask the same kind of questions for Diana. She was another one that has never been found. Can you tell us where Diana's body is? Where it can be found at?
he
Paired.
Oh, that's it. Is that
done.
look?
Just came out.
Yeah, a lot of times, Lori, if it's Florida East Coast Railway, some of the engines are blue.
Okay. The
When the search teams were looking for Diana, were they close to finding her? Were they looking in the right spot?
There is a
food.
Those strands are
Yeah.
just a couple. Priestess. Gatepipe.
How was Diana's body disposed of? Was it the way
Short. Scissors are so
Crazy Bill described?
and while that's heating up. More.
Is Diana in the pond that Crazy Bill said he threw her in? Is her body still there?
Are now.
Darnell again. Does anyone else know where Diane is?
Then the firing.
Where she could be found at?
No, so. Let me just now get off.
nice too.
I got a feeling she's not safe. She may be safe now, but she wasn't then.
Thank you. And
She's
she
just about to.
more, like I said, when
So I'll ask again, can any of the spirits tell us how many people were killed by William Darrell Lindsay altogether?
Okay. Walk up. Relatively. promise.
Say. Does your haircut?
Has the spirit of Crazy Bill been running around town here lately?
Beautiful. Retails.
And water chi. Earth. And
Okay, spirits. Thanks for talking to us. Thanks for trying to help if you've tried to give us some answers. 2 people still never found. There's got to be at least some bones or something left of them somewhere.
tricky.
Or someone may still be alive that knows something about it. So I'm sure this guy didn't keep all his secrets to himself.
All right, I think your lasers are.
Yeah, Linda, there are some snapping turtles around in those ponds or pits. There's turtles, alligators, moccasins. There's all kinds of wildlife in there. So
Yes, her meat is going to be picked clean by
Oh, yeah.
now.
no, definitely.
Be lucky if they find some femur bones or like her skull,
But not
some teeth, maybe, in the mud if they're lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's been a long time. So who knows, but if they're still out there where they can hear us somehow. Maybe they can give us some clues.
Or some might go fishing just at the right time, place, and pull something up.
Yeah, exactly. Like I say, I used to wakeboard in that one pond pit area, and I'm pretty sure I stepped on a dead person's head in there. As disgusting as that may be, I think that's I felt at the time that was
Your first
What?
instinct went with human head.
yeah, human head, time to roll. And like I say, it was a week or 2 later that a dead body was pulled out of that pit. And I'm pretty sure I stepped on it.
Mm.
Wasn't one of my more funner moments. I still remember that like it happened yesterday.
Yeah, I don't see that being something you just forget.
Yeah, wasn't fun. So we're almost at the end of another show. And yeah, maybe next week I'll do a little story on the other unsolved murder that happened here in town. Maybe I'll, after that, maybe we'll move on to something a little bit lighter, that doesn't involve murder and killing. I don't know what that lighter may be, but I'll find it. It's not all bad that happens here. What about out there where you live? Is there any like weird unsolved, it's California. There's got to be some.
Oh, there's all sorts of them.
Yeah.
There's a Sierra Lamar case that I've been following since she was missing.
Yeah.
I want to bring her home to her family.
Yeah. There's, unfortunately, there's weirdness everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, the hearts, the stuff is dark and unpleasant, but there's people out there, and if I was out there, I would want people to do what they could to bring me home and not leave me in a freezer or a swamp somewhere.
Yeah.
Give that to the families. There's like one case I was helping with, and her parents are almost, I think they're hanging on just to find out where she's at. But to
Yeah.
give that peace to the families, knowing, they know they're gone, but they know that they're back. They're not just out there anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I have that little bit of inner conflict sometimes about, doing stuff like this or talking about cases, because like I say, I mean, these are 7 girls that lived here. I actually went to school with one of these girls, and it sometimes I feel weird about it, because you never know how family members are going to react and stuff and all. But at the same time, if one little thing could help or lead to finding a person that's been missing since late 80s, early 90s, I mean, that would bring a lot of comfort to somebody, to those family members or whatever.
Definitely, and it's not glorifying it in any way. Like some of those ID channels, some of the stories, it's almost like they glorify some of these things. It's like, this isn't supposed to be a holly jolly, what was it, like around some holiday, and they really did up the deadly women thing, and it's like, oh no, 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 no.
Yeah.
But I've had a lot of families I've come across things I've done on YouTube to where they've thanked me, and they've given me they've heard stuff in it, and they're like, where it says this and this, next time ask more about blah, 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 and things like that. They're just glad that people are still thinking about them and looking for them. And
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just like last week when I was showing all the cemetery vandalism and stuff, we still haven't got those headstones and monuments and stuff lifted up. I'm going to put a little post out on Facebook and try to get some of my local friends around here maybe to come help, maybe Saturday morning or something, and see if I can't get a group of people to go down there and help.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, these things are heavy. I tried
Oh my
moving them
God.
by myself, and I can't even budge them. And it's not like I'm super strong, but I'm not a weakling. And man, these things are heavy. But yeah, I mean, same with the cemetery. I mean, those people, they don't deserve to be forgotten.
Mm-mm.
There's World War One, there's vets, there's all kinds of stuff buried in that cemetery, and just normal people and kids, and they're all people, and they all deserve some respect.
Exactly.
Not to have some asshat come in there and screw their grave sites up. I would have no problem beating somebody's ass if I caught them doing that.
Mm-mm.
Big time.
And then the thing with open, talking about any type of either an open case or a closed case, a closed cold case, is if anybody, you just go off of information that has already been put in print. And if there's somebody who's been called a suspect, you use the word allegedly, like, did they allegedly do this and that?
Yeah.
And that way, you're not discussing anything that's not already in print. And if you do it in a respectful, helpful, non-glorifying kind of way, and you're not, calling somebody out.
Yeah.
I've got some stories for you on that. Then, I've never come across any issues.
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah. And Linda, I will check out I'll do a little more research and see if there's any streets or any tracts of land with the word Clinton in it, since you heard that several times, and see if I can find out more about it. Who knows? Could even be in this book. So cool. Thanks, Jamie, and thanks everybody else in the chat room for hanging out with us. And we'll be back again next Wednesday. And don't forget to check out, Paranormal Soup Sunday night, the regular times. Debbie Anderson's going to be on there, and she has a new Oracle deck out that I'm chomping at the bit to get. Jason has it, so we're going to get a preview of it this Sunday.
Absolutely love Debbie. We've had her on a couple times and her husband a couple times, and she's one of my all-time favorite people.
Yeah. And she'll be doing some readings and stuff too, so I'm sure the phone lines are going to be lighting up. And speaking of phone lines, I do have a Google number now, and hopefully maybe by next week we got to test it out, make sure everything's working, but you guys will be able to call in and be even more of a part of the show. Been meaning to do that, and it just hasn't happened yet, but it will soon. So good night, y'all. Have a great rest of the week,
Right.
and see you Sunday.